Readings on Metta, Buddhist loving-kindness practice. Read by Jason Espada. Ajahn Pasanno said, "When one cultivates the meditations on loving-kindness, ideally what one is doing is taking the emotional tone of the heart as the object of meditation, as opposed to the discursive element. One maybe starts in that way, but the object of attention, the focus of attention, is the actual feeling within the heart." Teachings on Metta by Thich Nhat Hanh. Metta Meditation. Metta meditation is a practice of cultivating understanding, love, and compassion. This is done first for ourselves and then for others by looking deeply. Once we love and take care of ourselves, we can be much more helpful to others. Metta meditation can be practiced in part or in full. Just saying one line of the Metta meditation will already bring more compassion and healing into the world. To love is first of all to accept ourselves as we actually are. That is why in loving-kindness meditation, to know thyself is the first practice of love. When we practice this, we see the conditions that have caused us to be the way we are. This makes it easy for us to accept ourselves, including our suffering and our happiness at the same time. Metta means loving-kindness in Pali. We begin this with an aspiration, such as, "May I be safe, healthy, happy, and at peace." Then we transcend the level of aspiration and look deeply at all the positive and negative characteristics of the object of our meditation, in this case ourselves. The willingness to love is not yet love, or it is just the seed, the beginning of love. We look deeply with all our being in order to understand. We don't just repeat the words or imitate others or strive after some ideal. The practice of loving-kindness meditation is not autosuggestion. We don't just say, "I love myself, I love all beings." We look deeply at our body, our feelings, our perceptions, our mental formations, and our consciousness, and in just a few weeks, our aspiration to love will become a deep intention. Love will enter our thoughts, our words, and our actions, and we will notice that we have become peaceful, happy, and light in body and spirit, safe and free from injury, and free from anger, afflictions, fear, and anxiety. When we practice, we observe how much peace, happiness, and lightness we already have. We notice whether we are anxious about accidents or misfortunes, and how much anger, irritation, fear, anxiety, or worry are already in us. As we become aware of the feelings in us, our self-understanding will deepen. We will see how our fears and lack of peace contribute to our unhappiness, and we will see the value of loving ourselves and cultivating a heart of compassion. In this loving-kindness meditation, anger, afflictions, fear, and anxiety refer to all the unwholesome, negative states of mind that dwell in us and rob us of our peace and happiness. Anger, fear, anxiety, craving, greed, and ignorance are the great afflictions of our time. By practicing mindful living, we are able to deal with them, and our love is translated into effective action. The following is a Metta loving-kindness meditation adapted from the Visuddhimagga, the Path of Purification by Buddhaghosa, a 5th century systematization of the Buddha's teachings. To practice Metta loving-kindness meditation, sit still, calm your body and your breathing, and recite it to yourself. The sitting position is wonderful for practicing this. Sitting still, you are not too preoccupied with other matters, so you can look deeply at yourself as you are, cultivate your love for yourself, and determine the best ways to express this love in the world. Then bring to mind the thought, may I be peaceful, happy, and light in body and spirit. May I be safe and free from injury. May I be free from anger, afflictions, fear, and anxiety. Or may I be safe, healthy, happy, and peaceful. Begin practicing this meditation on yourself, I. Until you are able to love and take care of yourself, you cannot be of much help to others. After that, practice on others, he, she, or they. First on someone you like, then on someone neutral to you, then on someone you love, and finally on someone the mere thought of whom makes you suffer. Practice in this way. May they be peaceful, happy, and light in body and spirit. May they be safe and free from injury. May they be free from anger, afflictions, fear, and anxiety. Or may they be happy, safe, healthy, and peaceful. According to the Buddha, a human being is made of 5 collections called skandhas in Sanskrit. They are form, our body, our feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. In a way, you are the surveyor, and these elements are your territory. To know the real situation within yourself, you have to know your own territory, including the elements within you that are at war with each other. In order to bring about harmony, reconciliation, and healing within, you have to understand yourself. Looking and listening deeply, surveying your territory, is the beginning of Metta loving-kindness meditation. From Teachings on Love by Thich Nhat Hanh, Chapter 2, Love Meditation. The Buddha offered many meditations on love. When a group of monks told him that the spirits living near their forest monastery were causing others to suffer, the Buddha taught them the Metta Sutta, also known as the Discourse on Love. He or she who wants to attain peace should practice being upright, humble, and capable of using loving speech. He or she will know how to live simply and happily, with their senses calmed, and without being covetous and carried away by the emotions of the majority. Let him or her not do anything that would be disapproved of by the wise ones, and this is what he or she contemplates. May all beings be happy and safe, and may their hearts be filled with joy. May all living beings live in security and in peace, beings who are frail or strong, tall or short, big or small, visible or not visible, near or far away, already born or yet to be born. May all of them dwell in perfect tranquility. Let no one do harm to anyone. Let no one put the life of anyone in danger. Let no one, out of anger or ill will, wish anyone any harm. Just as a mother loves and protects her only child at the risk of her own life, we should cultivate boundless love to offer to all living beings in the entire cosmos. We should let our boundless love pervade the whole universe, above, below, and across. Our love will know no obstacles. Our heart will be absolutely free from hatred and enmity. Whether standing or walking, sitting or lying down, as long as we are awake, we should maintain this mindfulness of love in our own heart. This is the noblest way of living. Free from wrong views, greed, and sensual desires, living in beauty and realizing perfect understanding, those who practice boundless love will certainly transcend birth and death. After several months of reciting and practicing the Metta Sutta, the monks came to understand the sufferings of the troubled spirits. As a result, the spirits began to practice also. They became filled with the energy of love, and the whole forest was peaceful. The Buddha also offered many specific exercises to help his disciples practice and realize the four immeasurable minds. When your mind is filled with love, send it in one direction, then a second, third, a fourth, then above, and then below. Identify with everything without hatred, resentment, anger, or enmity. This mind of love is very wide. It grows immeasurably and eventually is able to embrace the whole world. Practice the same way with your mind filled with compassion, then with joy, then with equanimity. With his mind filled with love, the monk permeates one direction, and then a second, a third, a fourth, above, below, and all around, everywhere identifying himself with all. He permeates the whole world with his mind filled with love, wide, far, developed, unbound, free from hatred and ill will. He does the same with his mind filled with compassion, with joy, and with equanimity, or impartiality. When the energy of love is strong in us, we can send it to beings in all directions. We may imagine our love as being like waves of sound or light, or like a pure white cloud that forms slowly and gradually spreads out to envelop the whole world. But Metta meditation is not only an act of imagination. A true cloud produces rain. Sound and light penetrate everywhere, and our love must do the same. We have to observe whether our mind of love is present in our actual contact with others. Practicing love meditation in the sitting position is only the beginning. Metta meditation is an important beginning. We sit quietly and look deeply into ourselves. With practice, our love will increase naturally, becoming all-inclusive and all-embracing. As we learn to see with the eyes of love, we empty our mind of anger and hatred. As long as these negative mental formations are present in us, our love is incomplete. We may think we understand and accept others, but we are not yet able to love them fully. Mindfulness is the energy that allows us to look deeply at our body, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness, and see clearly what our real needs are, so we will not drown in the sea of suffering. Eventually, love fills our mind and our will, and our actions from that time on manifest love. Speech and actions are the fruits of will, so when our will is permeated by love, our speech and actions are also suffused with love. We speak only loving and constructive words, and act only in ways that bring happiness and relieve suffering. We practice not only to give rise to the four immeasurables in our mind, but also to bring them into the world through our words and actions. When we practice loving-kindness meditation, we don't merely visualize our love spreading into space. We touch the deep sources of love that are already in us, and then, in the midst of our daily lives, in our actual contact with others, we express and share our love. We practice until we see the concrete effects of our love on others, until we are able to offer peace and happiness to everyone, even those who have acted toward us in ways that are most unlovable. In the Itivuttaka, the Buddha says if we gather all the virtuous actions we have realized in this world, they are not equal to practicing Metta meditation. Building practice centers, making Buddha figures, casting bells, or doing social work cannot bring about 1/16 of the merit of this practice. If we collect together all the light from the stars, it will not be as bright as the light of the moon. In the same way, practicing metta is greater than all other virtuous actions combined. Practicing loving-kindness meditation is like digging deep into the ground until we reach the purest water. We look deeply into ourselves until insight arises and our love flows to the surface. Joy and happiness radiate from our eyes, and everyone around us benefits from our smile and our presence. If you take good care of yourself, you help everyone. You stop being a source of suffering to the world, and you become a reservoir of joy and freshness. Here and there are people who know how to take good care of themselves and who live joyfully and happily. They are our strongest support. Everything they do for everyone. That is the meaning of Mahayana Buddhism. That is loving-kindness meditation. The Buddha said that if a monk practices metta meditation, even if only for the length of time it takes to snap one's fingers, that monk is worthy of being a monk. He will not fail in meditative concentration. He will realize the teachings given by teachers on the path. The food offered to him as alms will not be wasted. There is no greater virtue than practicing metta loving-kindness meditation every day. May all beings be happy and at peace, and may their hearts be filled with joy. The Metta Sutta. This is what should be done by those who are skilled in goodness and who know the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing, in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at their ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at their ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none, through anger or ill will, wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outward and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will. Whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into any samsaric world. A loving-kindness meditation by Jetsunma Tenzin Palmo, from the Heroic Heart, Awakening Unbound Compassion. To begin, we sit and quiet down the surface of the mind and send loving thoughts to ourselves. Traditionally, we think to ourselves, may I be well and happy. May I be free of suffering. May I be peaceful and at ease. Recite any verse that speaks to you, and visualize sending loving thoughts to yourself, maybe in the form of light. When you think, may I be happy, you are sending loving kindness. And when you think, may I be free from suffering, you are sending compassion. Even though at first this may seem artificial and contrived, gradually we begin to feel a kind of peacefulness and warmth inside ourselves. And how wonderful is that? We can start by befriending ourselves and being a little more tolerant of ourselves. That will help us to be friendlier and more tolerant of others. When we give loving kindness and compassion to ourselves, then naturally this is also going to spread out toward others. After that, we send thoughts of loving kindness to somebody whom we feel particularly loving toward, wishing that they might be well and happy, and imagining them well and happy and free from suffering. This is the easiest part, to wish happiness to people or to animals we really care for. Then we spread this goodwill to somebody we feel neutral about, whom we don't care about one way or the other. The mailman, for example, whom we see every day but usually don't give a thought about. Now just imagine really wishing them to be happy and free from suffering. Everybody in their heart of hearts wants to feel well and not suffer, as the Buddha said, to each one his own self is most dear, and we wish that for them. Imagine them being happy, imagine all their problems solved, and see them free from suffering, their children attending good colleges and marrying nice people, and their partners staying healthy. Everything is really nice, all their worries and problems are resolved, and they are just filled with happiness. Imagine it. Then we visualize someone whom we don't like or with whom we have problems. Just think of that person and recognize that if people create difficulties for others, it is because inside they are not really at peace with themselves. Wish them to be well and happy. Imagine everything they want being fulfilled for them, and all their worries and anxieties, all their problems fading away. They're just happy. Feel pleased for them. Then just gradually expand that sense of goodwill around the world, thinking of all the many beings out there, not just human beings, but animals, insects, birds, fish, and all the beings who inhabit this planet, and then all those who inhabit the other realms that we can't even see. Imagine that all these beings finally experience having all their worries and anxieties melt away, be replaced by great happiness and joy and satisfaction. May it be so. Loving Kindness Meditation by Ajahn Brahm. The Buddha's word for loving kindness is metta. It refers to an emotion, to that feeling of goodwill that can sustain thoughts wishing happiness for another, and that is willing to forgive any fault. My favorite expression of metta is encompassed by the words, "The door of my heart is fully open to you, forever, whoever you are and whatever you have done." Metta is love without a self, arising from inspiration, expecting nothing back in return, and without any conditions. The Buddha compared metta to a mother's love for her child. A mother might not always like her child or agree with everything it does, but she will always care for her child and wish it only happiness. Such an open-hearted, non-discriminating, and liberating kindness is metta. In Metta Meditation, you focus your attention on the feelings of loving kindness, developing that delightful emotion until it fills the whole mind. The way this is achieved can be compared to the way you light a campfire. You start with paper or anything else that is easy to light. Then you add kindling, small twigs or strips of wood. When the kindling is on fire, you add thicker pieces of wood, and after a time the thick logs. Once the fire is roaring and very hot, you can even put on wet and sappy logs, and they are soon alight. Metta can be accurately compared with a warm and radiant fire burning in your heart. You cannot expect to light the fire of loving-kindness by starting with a difficult object, no more than you can expect to light a campfire by striking a match under a thick log. So do not begin metta meditation by spreading metta to yourself, if this is difficult, or to an enemy. Instead, begin by spreading loving-kindness to something that is easy to ignite with loving-kindness. I prepare myself for metta meditation by grounding my mindfulness in the present moment. Then I initiate metta meditation by imagining a little kitten. I like cats, especially kittens, so my imaginary kitten is to loving-kindness as gas is to a flame. I only need to think of my little kitten and my heart lights up with metta. I continue to visualize my imaginary friend, picturing it as abandoned, hungry, and very afraid. In its short span of life, it has only known rejection and loneliness. I imagine its bones sticking out from its emaciated body, its fur soiled with grime and some blood, and its body rigid with terror. I consider that if I don't care for this vulnerable little being, then no one will. I feel that kitten's experience, and my heart opens up, releasing a flood of compassion. I will care for that little kitten. I will protect it and feed it. I imagine myself looking deeply into its anxious eyes, trying to melt its apprehension with the metta flowing through my own eyes. I reach out to it slowly, reassuringly, never losing eye contact. Gently, I pick up that little kitten and bring it to my chest. I remove the kitten's cold with the warmth from my own body. I take away its fear with the softness of my embrace, and I feel the kitten's trust grow. I speak to the kitten on my chest. Little being, never feel alone again. Never feel so afraid. I will always look after you. I will always be your protector and friend. I love you, little kitten. Wherever you go, whatever you do, my heart will always welcome you. I give you my limitless loving kindness always. I feel my kitten become warm, relax, and finally purr. This is but an outline of how I begin my meditation on metta. I usually take much more time. I use my imagination and thoughts to paint a picture in my mind, to create a scenario where the first flames of metta can arise. At the end of the mental exercise, my eyes still closed, I focus the attention on the region around my heart and feel the first warm glow of the emotion of loving kindness. My kitten is like the paper that you use to start the campfire. You may not like kittens, so choose something else, a puppy or a baby perhaps. Whatever you choose as your first object of metta, make it an imaginary being and not a real one. In your mind, you can make a kitten or a puppy or a baby into anything you like. You have more freedom to generate metta when you make use of a fantasy creature rather than one from the real world. My imaginary kitten, for example, purrs at just the right time. Having chosen your first object, use your powers of imagination to create a story around that being that arouses your loving kindness. With practice, this innovative method becomes one of the most successful and enjoyable ways to begin metta meditation. Some years ago, a female student complained to me that this method did not work for her. She regarded small animals, especially mischievous kittens, as little pests. Nor did she like crying babies. She had a severe case of what I now call metta block. She went on to tell me that in her apartment in Sydney, she had been growing some flowers in pots. So I suggested that she choose one of her plants as her first object of metta. She imagined a seedling so delicate and tender. It was so fragile that it needed all her care, love, and protection to survive. She directed all her motherly instincts to that vulnerable little potted plant, nurturing and feeding her friend, until it burst from its bud to repay her kindness with a beautiful, fragrant flower. She really took to that method. That was the first time Metta Meditation worked for her. During the retreat when this happened, she said it was the only session when she wasn't waiting for me to ring the bell. After the first flames of metta have been established in this way, let go of your imaginary creature and put in its place a real person, someone very close to you emotionally, such as your partner, a well-loved relation, or even your very best friend. It must be someone for whom it is easy to generate and sustain loving kindness. In the metaphor of the campfire, they will be the thin pieces of wood called kindling. Once again, use your thoughts, words, and images to paint a picture around them in your mind. They too need your friendship and love. They are also emotionally vulnerable, subject to the disappointments and frustrations of life. Think along these lines and say to yourself, "Dearest friend, I sincerely wish you happiness. May your body be free from pain and your mind find contentment. I give you my love with no conditions. I'll always be there for you. You will always have a place in my heart. I truly care for you." Or similar words of your own design. Use whatever phrases arouse the warm glow of metta in your heart. Stay with this person. Imagine they are right before you until the metta grows bright and constant around them. Now briefly place your attention on your body near your heart and feel the physical sensation associated with metta. You will find it feels delightful. Let go of the image of that person and substitute that of another close acquaintance, creating the feeling of metta around them by using your thought and feeling in the same way. May you live in happiness. Imagine them right before you until the metta glows bright and constant around them. Next, substitute an entire group of people, perhaps all the people who live in your house. Develop the caring glow of metta around them in the same way. May you all be well and happy. In the simile of the campfire, you are now putting on the logs. See if you can imagine metta to be a golden radiance emanating from a beautiful white lotus flower in the middle of your heart. Allow that radiance of loving kindness to expand in all directions, embracing more and more living beings until it becomes boundless, filling up all that you can imagine. May all living beings, near and far, great or small, be happy and at peace. Bathe the whole universe in the warmth of the golden light of loving kindness. Stay there for a while. In the simile of the campfire, the fire is now roaring and very hot and can now burn even the wet and sappy logs. Think of someone you have had a difficult relationship with. It can be someone who has hurt you badly. You will be astonished that your metta is now strong enough for you to forgive them. You are now able to share the healing golden glow of loving kindness with them as well. Friend, whatever you have done to me, revenge will not help either of us, so instead I wish you well. I sincerely wish you freedom from the pain of the past and joy in all your future. May the beauty of this unconditional loving kindness reach you as well, bringing you happiness, peace, and contentment. When the fire of metta burns strong, nothing can withstand it. Next, there is one final wet and sappy stick to be tossed into the fire of metta. Most meditators find the hardest person to give loving kindness to is themselves. Imagine that you are looking at yourself in a mirror. Say with your inner speech and with total sincerity, "I now wish myself well. I give myself the gift of happiness. For too long the door of my heart has been closed to myself. Now I open it. No matter what I have done or will ever do, the door to my own love and respect is always open to myself. I forgive myself unreservedly. Come home. I now give myself the love that does not judge. I care for this vulnerable being called me. I embrace all of myself with the loving kindness of Metta." Invent your own words here to let the warmth of loving kindness sink deep inside you, to the part that is most frightened. Let it melt all resistance until you are at one with Metta, unlimited loving kindness, like a mother's care for her child. Before you end the Metta meditation, pause for a minute or two and reflect on how you feel inside. Notice the effect that this meditation has had on you. Metta meditation can produce heavenly bliss. To bring the meditation to an elegant conclusion, once more imagine Metta as a golden glow radiating from the beautiful white lotus located in your heart. Visualize the golden radiance being drawn back into the lotus, leaving the warmth outside. When the golden glow becomes like a condensed ball of incandescent energy in the center of the white lotus, imagine the petals closing around the ball of Metta, guarding the seed of loving kindness within your heart, ready to be released again in your next Metta meditation. Then open your eyes and get up slowly. The Meaning of Metta Bhavana by Sayadaw U. Indaka. Bhavana means development or cultivation. Therefore, Metta Bhavana refers to the repeated cultivation of metta in our own hearts and minds to make it firm and strong. With the practice of metta meditation, we have to develop a genuine wish for our own happiness and the happiness of others. When we develop metta for all beings by wishing them good health and happiness, then our hearts and minds will feel happy and peaceful. Because we're practicing metta meditation, we experience this happiness and peace ourselves. As we develop and strengthen the quality of metta in our hearts and minds by wishing all living beings good health and happiness, there is no more desire to hurt or create suffering for other living beings. This is mano-kamma metta, or metta in mental actions. We also do not use any words that cause suffering or harm other living beings. This is vaci-kamma metta, or metta in verbal actions. And we do not do anything that hurts or causes suffering to other living beings. This is kaya-kamma metta, metta in bodily actions. In this way, other living beings do not suffer because of us, and if they do not suffer, they are happy. When we practice metta meditation and live in the tranquil shade of metta, this subtle happiness and peace is at first not very distinct or obvious. The serene and peaceful quality of metta is not always evident, so we may not understand the true value of metta. Only when we have to spend time with an angry person do we come to appreciate and savor the serene taste of metta. Living in the shade of a person with metta, we feel serene and peaceful. At such a time, we come to know and clearly understand the serene and peaceful quality of metta, which is radiated by the person who is developing metta. then we fully understand the true value of metta. This is the benefit that can be experienced by a being to whom metta is radiated. The Spirit of Metta by Sayadaw U. Indaka. The spirit of metta is the wish for the welfare and happiness of all living beings. There is never a wish for anything that is not beneficial. In the spirit of metta, we always work for the benefit of other living beings. We never work to create unwholesome results or to inflict suffering. The spirit of metta is always and forever peaceful and cool. It never burns. The spirit of metta is always loving kindness. It never turns to hatred. The spirit of metta is always soft, gentle, and subtle. It is never rough and harsh. The spirit of metta is always clear and fresh. It never withers. The spirit of metta only sees and looks at the good side. It never sees and looks for faults. The spirit of metta is always forgiving. It is not oppressive or controlling. The spirit of metta is only concerned with helping. It is completely free from any destructive impulses. The spirit of metta works only for the benefit of others and ourselves together. It doesn't work for one's own benefit alone. The spirit of metta is free from entanglement. It is always accompanied by a spirit of independence. Anointing with the Waters of Benevolence, from Duties of the Sangha, by Ajahn Lee Damodaro. When one has seen with the power of intuitive understanding that a person is ready to receive the Dhamma, one should spread thoughts of goodwill, dedicating the fruits of one's merit to that person. This way of spreading the Dhamma can be done both in public and in private, with those who are near and those who are far away. It can help certain human and divine beings and inspire conviction in those whose dispositions lie within the net of the Dhamma, all without having to say a word. This has been termed anointing with the waters of benevolence. The goodwill that lies in the heart is like a cooling current. Wherever this current is directed through the power of a radiant heart, it can draw other beings, both human and divine, to become inspired to develop the qualities of their hearts in line with their varying dispositions. Even if we have yet to meet them and have simply heard news, we can still cause their hearts to become cool and refreshed, contributing to their welfare and happiness. Spreading the Dhamma in this way is beneficial both to us and to others. To be able to do this, though, we must first give rise to sufficient quality in our own hearts. If the quality isn't yet there, then build it and dedicate it first of all to those to whom you owe karma debts. Spread this goodness to fill the body. Spread this goodness to fill the mind. This sense of fullness is what is meant by rapture, piti, full of what is skillful. Goodness fills the heart, refreshing it with what is skillful. When goodness fills the body and mind, it is like water filling a tank or saturating the earth. Wherever the earth is saturated with water, there the trees and vegetation flourish. But if we don't have enough goodness within, we're like a tank without any water. No matter how far the faucet is opened, only wind will come out. The coolness of wind and the coolness of water are two very different things. The coolness of wind can cause trees to wither and can send dust clouds flying. But the coolness of water is useful in many ways. It can be used to wash clothes, to bathe the body, to drink, or to sprinkle on the ground, nourishing plants and softening the earth. Not only that, it can also give a deep sense of refreshment. In the same way, people who practice the Dhamma, even if they don't speak a word but simply spread thoughts of goodwill, can be of great benefit to people at large. This is termed Metta Parami, the perfection of benevolence. So, when goodness arises within us, we can work for the welfare of others even when we sit with our eyes closed, perfectly still. But it's the nature of ignorant people to believe that such a person is simply saving his own skin. They haven't looked deep inside. The teachers of the past thus made a comparison with thunder and rain. Some people can teach others, but they themselves have no inner goodness. Such people are called thunder without rain. They can cause others to feel awe and respect, but can give no sense of cooling refreshment. Some people are like rain without thunder. They rarely speak, but spread thoughts of goodwill, dedicating their merit to others. They have received their own full measure of inner goodness, and so can give goodness and inspire conviction in the hearts of others, even when simply sitting still. Those who find peace and calm in the shelter of such an influence will in turn feel the highest form of respect. Then some people are like rain with thunder, and others rain with thunder and wind to boot. This, for those who are able, is the best of all. Such people, after having developed their own inner goodness, are able to teach others, spreading the Dhamma by thought, word, and deed, giving results in many ways. People who are stubborn and fixed in their opinions will be able to soften in an instant, just as giant trees bend before the wind. At the same time, teachers of this sort can be an example to others through their behavior and the kindness of their hearts, feeling no envy for the goodness of others, but only compassion, providing the shelter of mental peace to all sorts of people. This is the way to spread the Dhamma fully and completely, causing the religion to prosper in the true and proper way. The Metta Sutta, version 3, as found in Metta, the practice of loving kindness, as the foundation for insight meditation practice, by Sayadaw U. Indaka, revised. By the power of this sutta, the yakshas do not show fearful visions, and a person who makes effort regarding this sutta day and night sleeps comfortably. When he sleeps, he does not have bad dreams. Good people, let us recite this protective sutta, which is endowed with these qualities and others as well. He or she who wants to dwell penetrating the state of calm, nibbana, and who is skilled in virtue should practice the 3 kinds of training, of ethics, meditation, and wisdom. He should be capable, frank, extremely honest, obedient, gentle and not conceited. He should be contented, easy to take care of, have few activities, have few possessions, and be controlled in his senses. He should be wise and respectful, and not greedily attached to anything at all. He should not commit the slightest wrong, by doing which he might be censured by the wise. Then he should think, may all beings be happy and safe. May their hearts be happy. Whatever living beings exist, be they feeble or strong, long or big, or medium or short, small or bulky, seen or unseen, dwelling near or far, born or yet to be born, may all beings without exception be happy. Let none deceive another or despise any person in any place. Let him not wish any harm to another person with insult or ill will. Just as a mother would protect her only child at the risk of her own life, even so let him cultivate a boundless loving heart towards all beings. Let his thoughts of boundless love pervade the whole world, above, below, and all around, making them unrestricted, free of hate and free of enmity. Whether he is standing, walking, sitting, or lying down, as long as he is awake, he should develop this mindfulness. This is the noble living here in the dispensation of the Buddha, they say. Not holding on to wrong views, being virtuous and endowed with vision, the first path knowledge, and removing greed for sensual pleasures, such a one will surely transcend birth and death. Reflections on Universal Well-Being. May I abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may I maintain well-being in myself. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. May all beings be released from all suffering, and may they not be parted from the good fortune they have attained. When they act upon intention, all beings are the owners of their action and inherit its results. Their future is born from such action, companion to such action, and its results will be their home. All actions with intention, be they skillful or harmful, of such acts they will be the heirs. Guided Metta Meditation by Luang Pasanno. As we are able to establish the wish for well-being, this loving-kindness lays the foundation for the qualities of compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. As we cultivate this meditation on loving-kindness, a variety of formulations can be used. Some of them can be quite complicated and some quite simple. What is most important is to recognize how it works, how it affects us. What is it that resonates and helps bring into being a feeling and perception of loving-kindness, an interest in the wish for well-being in oneself and others? As a meditation, the use of words and phrases is a helpful way of establishing mindfulness or recollection. We can use a phrase to plant that seed within the heart and mind. Because the nature of the mind is to come up with different thoughts, and usually with stories, not just short little sentences here or there, we use those phrases to help keep the mind on track. Oh right, I'm doing loving-kindness meditation. So using those phrases, perhaps from the Buddha's Discourse on loving-kindness, wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease, or may I be well, happy, and peaceful, is a way of keeping the mind on track and reminding it of what it's intending to do. So that is actually the meditation. That is how we train the mind. In Thailand, one of the most common meditation methods or techniques is using the word Buddho, the name of the Buddha. Bud on the in-breath and Do on the out-breath. Just that simple word. If you want, you can use the word Metta, Met on the in-breath and Ta on the out-breath. Use that word to keep the mind on track. Tune into the feeling, the connotations of metta you have reflected on. This helps the mind to channel its attention and energy to the pleasing emotional tone of well-wishing. In meditation practice, metta has the very useful function of providing emotional moisture. If you think anicca dukkha anatta, anicca dukkha anatta, anicca dukkha anatta, it gets pretty dry after a while. Impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, not self, impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, not self, are very true. However, the mind has to be prepared and balanced. Metta Bhavana can be a very useful basis for providing a sense of moisture, warmth, and brightness to the mind. The opposite is true as well. If you really see impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and not self, one of the sure indications that the insight is a true one is the sense of universal kindness and well-wishing that arises. You think, wow, everyone is in the same boat. Then there's a sense of caring, the heart's natural response to a deep insight. Usually we don't start with deep insights. It's good to sprinkle in a bit of metta to lubricate the insights and heart so that it's ready, ripe, and able to respond. Also, as we continue in this particular spiritual practice, it is quite natural to become inured or accustomed to the particular pattern of reflection, investigation, and practice we are doing. So having supporting practices helps create a broad base for practice and insight to ripen. It gives us the energy for practice. Today I'd like to introduce as a meditation the chant Reflections on Universal Well-Being, which are all 4 Brahmaviharas. Almost half of the chant is specifically about metta, loving kindness. I think that is quite appropriate in that metta is really the doorway into the other Brahmaviharas. As we are able to establish the wish for well-being, this loving kindness lays the foundation for the qualities of compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. To try to establish equanimity or sympathetic joy on its own is not that easy, but loving kindness is an appropriate doorway into these sublime abidings. The chant begins with a very distinct statement in Pali, Aham Sukhito Homi, which is, may I be happy. Of course, if you're chanting, may I be happy, it falls a bit flat, whereas if you begin a chant, may I abide in well-being, it's kind of nice to chant. May I be happy is a very precise translation of Aham Sukhito Homi, but I think it is appropriate to take a bit of poetic license to make it a bit more chantable. May I abide in well-being. For me, having chanted this for decades now, that is what happens when I think of the words. When I use it as a meditation, it comes out as a chant. It's kind of hard for me to just say it. It's a very beautiful chant. Establish that wish. May I abide in well-being. May I abide in happiness. May I abide in the basis of all that is pleasurable and delightful. The wish directs attention to oneself. That is very much the classical mode of the cultivation of loving kindness, to direct attention inward and establish that very strong feeling of well-wishing toward oneself. This isn't a selfish obsession with me. In reality, we do need to cherish ourselves. If I eat something, nobody else gets full. We relate to ourselves first on a cellular level. So, on an emotional level, we need to attend to ourselves in appropriate and skillful ways. When we look after ourselves, attend to our well-being, that is when we can be a refuge and be there for others. As human beings, we're not all that different, despite all of our assumptions about our fascinating uniqueness. We're not very different, so when we tune in and understand ourselves, we can be really present for others. It's our unskillful obsession with ourselves that blocks us off from others. So, establish that sense of, may I abide in well-being. Take that in and open the heart to the sincere wish, may I abide in well-being and freedom from affliction. In Pali, the phrase is nudiko homi, without dukkha, without suffering. Avero homi is in freedom from hostility. Vera is conflict and also grudges, the grudges and conflicts that ironically bind us together. In Thai there is a phrase that you say when something goes wrong. In English we say, oh shoot. In Thai it's wine gum. Oh, this is conflict and karma. Establish the wish, may I abide in freedom from hostility, in freedom from any kind of conflict. Abhyapajo homi, freedom from ill will. Bhyapada is ill will, anger, irritation, aversion. May I abide in freedom from ill will. Anigo homi, in freedom from anxiety, worry, or fear. Establish that wish. May I abide in freedom from anxiety. Sukhi attanam parahari me. Atta is me, self. May I be happy, and may I maintain well-being in myself. Draw attention to that wish for freedom from affliction, hostility, ill will, and anxiety, and that wish to maintain well-being. Establish yourself as grounded in well-being. As you develop this as a meditation, going through the phrases, you can repeat it many times until it feels solid and you feel grounded in well-being. Then allow it to be a bit more non-directional, not directed toward yourself, but a bit more pervasive. May everyone abide in well-being. In the Pali, Sabbe Satta Sukhita Hontu. May all beings abide in well-being. May all beings be happy. Then proceed to similar recollections or aspirations. Sabbe Satta Avera Hontu. May all beings abide in freedom from hostility, ill will, and anxiety. Those feelings of fear, worry, and anxiety are part of not just the human condition, but the universal condition of having a life force, whether it's a human being, a mammal, or an insect. As soon as you have a life force, you're protecting it. Every being wants to get away from pain or any kind of threat. Of course, there is going to be some kind of threat. Living in the forest, animals are constantly attuned to danger. Abhayagiri is in the forest, and there are lots of animals there. Deer, particularly the does, don't have any clear physical means of aggression, but they have big ears and they're listening. They have big eyes and they're on the lookout for anything that might be a bit threatening. There is anxiety there. That is the nature of being born into a physical body. We are vulnerable. We can obsess on this and keep spinning ourselves out with anxiety. There is a book by Robert Sapolsky, Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. If there is danger and a lion attacks, zebras are out of there as quickly as they can. They might even be mauled or see a friend mauled, but as soon as it's over, they're out there grazing again. Human beings, on the other hand, are constantly planning about the next perceived threat, which may or may not happen, and we end up with ulcers. It's a response that serves us well in certain circumstances, but when it's applied across the board, it really doesn't serve us that well. Dwelling in anxiety is exceedingly uncomfortable. On the sheet of paper I passed out on the sharing of loving kindness, there is a very similar formulation, but with a bit of a twist that is very nice, but it uses those same structures and is very classical. It's out of a very early commentarial treatise, the Patisambhidamagga, which is so old it's in the Pali Canon. These are the formulations for one of the ways for the cultivating of loving-kindness, developing freedom from hostility, freedom from ill will, freedom from anxiety, and then the wish for happiness, so that as we cultivate this recitation and recollection, we cultivate the feeling, may I be well, happy, and peaceful. And just as I wish to be well, happy, and peaceful, may all beings be well, happy, and peaceful. This is recognizing that that wish is not just isolated or focused solely on oneself. In the same way that I wish to be well, happy, and peaceful, may all beings experience that. May I be free from animosity. As I wish to be free from animosity, may all beings be free from animosity. May I be free from any kind of suffering, and as I wish to be free from any kind of suffering, may all beings be free from any kind of suffering. May I live in peace and happiness, and as I wish to live in peace and happiness, may all beings live in peace and happiness. These are helpful phrases or structures. It's helpful to become knowledgeable about Pali, the scriptural language, because sometimes our own English language has a backlog of associations and habit patterns that affect our thoughts and condition our reactions. As we delve into Buddhism, the Pali language, and not just the phrases, can be very helpful. As you consciously cultivate the quality of loving-kindness, bring attention to may I abide in well-being, trying to establish that wish firmly and clearly toward yourself within the heart. But it doesn't just affect you. It transforms you, and by transforming you, it has an effect on the world and people around you. So let's take some time just to sit and use these phrases, this particular structure. Establish ease, alertness, and comfort in the posture. Allow the breathing to be natural, easeful. Relax any kind of tension. Allow the breath to come in very, very clearly without any obstruction. Allow the breath to go out without any obstruction. Not controlling, just feeling very comfortable and at ease. As you physically feel at ease, attention and mindfulness are present. Then formulate the wish, may I abide in well-being. Allow the breath to come in and go out. Allow the heart to resonate around that sincere wish. May I abide in well-being. May I abide in happiness. May I abide in freedom from affliction. Allow that to resonate through the body and the mind. May I abide in freedom from suffering and discomfort, mental, physical, any kind of dukkha. Establish that wish toward yourself, cherishing yourself with the sincere wish for freedom from anything that is afflicting, obstructing. Allow that wish to be an energy within the body and mind. Allow that energy to flow through and permeate the whole body, the whole mind, that sincere wish for happiness, for freedom from suffering. May I abide in freedom from hostility. Allow the mind to relinquish and release any kind of hostile, aversive, or negative intention toward yourself or others, because the first person harmed when you formulate an intention of hostility or aversion is you. Release and relinquish any negativity with the clear intention or wish, may I abide in freedom from hostility. May I abide in freedom from ill will. Again, not setting up any kind of contention or conflict, put it all down and direct that wish, feeling, and aspiration for well-being toward yourself. May I abide in freedom from anxiety. Recognize the inevitable tendency toward fear, worry, and anxious wondering, but set the intention. May I abide in freedom from any kind of anxiety. Recognize that it would be a very different world for you and others around you if there was freedom from such anxiety and fear. May I maintain well-being in myself. Return to the wish, the aspiration for stability of well-being, a steady sense of happiness that comes when the mind is not overwhelmed by negative habits of mind. Recognize that this is actually possible. It's a noble aspiration to set for yourself. It's holding yourself dear, cherishing yourself in an appropriate way. Allow these aspirations and recollections, this loving kindness, to permeate and pervade the body and mind. As that is increasingly well established and feels stable, allow the focus to be broader. Expand the focus so that it encompasses everything around you, inclusive of all others. May all beings abide in well-being. May everyone abide in well-being. May everyone abide in freedom from hostility. We can't force the world and all beings to live that way, but we can have that aspiration. We can perceive the benefit. Hold that within the heart. May everyone abide in freedom from ill will. We can see the suffering and pain that arise from ill will, so develop that sincere wish of compassion, friendliness, and care. Wish that all beings abide in freedom from ill will. Allow the heart to be open and expansive, wishing safety and security. May everyone abide in freedom from anxiety. May all beings maintain well-being in themselves. As we're able to establish that intention without division within the mind, we stop separating anybody out into us and them, my group and that group. Develop that expansive wish and aspiration that everyone be able to maintain well-being in him or herself. This allows the mind to break down the barriers of how we habitually compare and divide and suffer because of it. Cultivation of these phrases and tuning in to the feelings they generate are helpful for the cultivation of a mood of loving kindness, and they also give us an insight into the way the mind works, how we cherish or overlook ourselves, how we look at others, how we compare, how we judge. In the loving kindness meditation, there is no judging or comparing. We allow the heart to abide in kindness and well-being. Prayers for children for their whole lives, from a full heart. May all the precious children of this world grow up healthy and strong. May they have many good friends and wonderful experiences. May they have teachers who treat them gently, with respect and appreciation, who encourage and delight in them and teach them well. May they always know they are loved by their parents, siblings and friends, and have wonderful, loving relationships with them all for their whole lives. May their parents spend abundant time with them and always find ways to communicate their love, and may these beautiful relationships flourish for their whole lives. May all the precious children of this world grow up in a safe environment, free from harm, poverty, disease, and war, and with the healthy Mother Earth, our home, to support them and for them to delight in, with clean air and water, fertile fields and abundant orchards, with green valleys and glorious mountains. May this earth always be a safe, thriving, and beautiful place for them and for future generations. May all our dear children be free from all outer and inner harm. May they be free from all negative emotions, such as fear, greed, insecurity, anger, and sadness. May they learn early in their lives how to take care of themselves well, and may they grow up happily with joyful minds, supported, encouraged, and cherished. May they treat all others with kindness their whole lives, and deeply appreciating all that they have. May they be able to express their gratitude and love for parents, teachers, friends and family, other species, and this whole great world of ours. May they grow up year by year with beautiful values as moral young people, being respectful, gentle, and considerate to all, with kindness and compassion. May they live generously, with joyful hearts always. May they not be too quick to grow up, but day by day thoroughly enjoy their childhood, their natural vitality, creativity, wonder, and discovery. May they in time find subjects that engage them deeply, and that they find deeper rewards in studying. May they then grow to be fine men and women of character, considerate, loving, with good friends and stable relationships. May they have ethical, fulfilling, and balanced livelihoods, and may they care for those in their immediate and extended families with joy and affection. May they be healthy and happy their whole lives. May they always be safe. May they always know they are loved. May they give ample time to their inner life. May they connect with one or more spiritual teachers early on in their lives. May they develop their wisdom and know how to live well, in peace and harmony with others. May they find freedom, the highest happiness within themselves, and may they then joyfully share the great benefits of their insight and ease with their family, friends, and tradition, and with all others in our human family, and other species, and this earth for all generations. Loving Kindness Practice. Introduction. There is a light in the mind when we love selflessly, no doubt about it. Love is what lets us see beauty. Delighting in others is a kind of enlightenment, we could say, and that light is sustenance. It brings happiness and well-being to the heart and mind. If you would like to read more about this as a formal Buddhist practice, see Living in Beauty Buddhist Loving Kindness Practice and So That All Are Included in Our Love, linked to below. I'm also very glad to be able to recommend the website called Dharma Seed, which is a great treasure trove of audio talks on many aspects of Dharma practice. What a time to be alive. On the next pages you will find versions of the Metta Sutta, the teaching on loving kindness taught by the Buddha, followed by traditional methods for cultivating metta with some personal variations. They are essentially the same meditation. The first method offered here I received in 1998, at a monastery in Thailand called Wat Asokaram from a Western monk there named Fra Ingo. It uses a simple visualization. Sometimes I have felt like, enough with words. At these times, just bringing an image to mind is enough to enjoy this meditation. I remember once when I was really surprised by this way of practicing metta. I was back here in the States, and I must have had some kind of bad dream, and so I sat up and went through the visualization. It was early in the morning, and so I didn't have too many thoughts at that hour. After a while of bringing metta to mind in this way, I began to practice my regular way of meditating with the breath. And while I wasn't expecting anything to continue as a result of the metta practice, it felt wonderful. Since then, I've taken the advice of the kind monk who taught me this method to practice metta for at least a few minutes before other meditations, and to use the sense of well-being and brightness that arises as a foundation for calm and insight. A second method uses phrases to generate loving-kindness, to guide the mind and keep it on track. These can be combined, of course, whatever works best. When we practice metta, we're doing something very simple. We're getting in touch with and awakening the heart's innate capacity for love, so there's no need to make it complicated or to have any doubt that this is something we can all do. Then, when it comes to using metta phrases for the cultivation of loving kindness, some teachers say that the fewer phrases the better, but this is something we can experiment with for ourselves and see what works best for us. Whatever method we use, I think Ajahn Pasanno explained the aim of metta practice very well when he said, "In reality, the cultivation of loving kindness is not the actual repeating of the words. I mean, you use those words and phrases, but it's about the feeling. That feeling of loving kindness, the feeling of warmth, the feeling of acceptance, the feeling of openness, the feeling of the heart, including and concern for the happiness of oneself or others, and that's about generating the feeling. In terms of meditation, it's that directing attention to the feeling or emotion, that sense of kindness, well-wishing, and then finding ways to support that and to shore that up and allow that to become stable, and then to start to suffuse one's own being, and then allowing that to spread out, and that requires mindfulness and attention. However we approach it, this is such a worthwhile practice, don't you agree? The Buddha taught that, having seen that all beings, like ourselves, have a desire for happiness, one methodically develops loving-kindness for all beings. This Buddhist loving-kindness practice naturally leads us to what are called the Four Brahma-viharas, or Divine Abidings, of universal love, compassion, delight in the good, and the peace and balance of mind that is born of the strength of dedication, also called equanimity. So I've also included a few verses that express this. Enjoy. May all beings benefit. The Metta Sutta. This is what should be done by those who are skilled in goodness and who know the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing, in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born. May all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upward to the skies and downward to the depths, outward and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will. Whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into any samsaric world. Metta Bhavana, loving-kindness meditation. To begin with, I sit upright and relax. I close my eyes and allow myself to settle, becoming more calm, relaxed, and harmonious. I let go of thoughts, feelings, and sensations. I observe how the breath is flowing in smoothly and flowing out easily, free and harmonious. Now I see a wonderful sun over my head, shining with warm golden light. This bright light of loving kindness is streaming throughout my entire being. I can feel it. I feel well, and I am happy. First person. Now I imagine one person who I love the most. I see a wonderful sun over their head, shining with warm golden light. I see the warm golden light of loving kindness streaming to that person. You can add phrases if you like, such as, may they be well, happy and peaceful, or may they be happy and at peace, and may their heart be filled with joy. And continue with the visualization. The wonderful light of this sun is flowing through this person. This beloved person is surrounded by this light of higher love and kindness. I can see the smile in their face. This beloved person feels well and is very happy. Second person. Next, I imagine one person who I like and respect. I see this sun over their head, shining with beautiful, warm, golden light. I see the warm, golden light of loving kindness streaming to them. This wonderful light is flowing through them. They are surrounded by this light of higher love and kindness, and I can see them smiling. They are feeling well and are very happy. Third person. Next, I can see one person toward whom I have a neutral relationship. I see this wonderful sun over their head shining with warm golden light. And I see the warm golden light of loving kindness streaming to that person. This wonderful bright light is flowing through them. They are surrounded by this light of higher love and kindness. And I can see the smile on their face. They feel well and very happy. Fourth person. The last person I think of is one with whom I have had difficulties, or someone who I dislike. I see the same wonderful sun over their head, shining with warm golden light. I see the warm golden light of loving kindness streaming to that person. May they be happy and at peace, and may their heart be filled with joy. This wonderful bright light is flowing through that person. They are surrounded by this light of higher love and kindness. I can see them smiling, and that they feel well and very happy. Now I see all four persons together, with the sun above them, and I see them all receiving the same amount of this warm golden light of loving kindness. They all feel well, they are all smiling, and they are all shining and happy. Then I let them go in peace and happiness. Now once more I see the warm sun above my head, and once again I am filled with feelings of happiness and well-being. Optional. If necessary, at this point I practice equanimity meditation. Now I allow myself to feel calm and peaceful. To conclude, I take a deep breath and exhale slowly. I come back to the here and the now and slowly open my eyes. May all beings be happy and at peace, and may their hearts be filled with joy. Metta loving-kindness practice. Traditionally, metta practice is first done toward oneself. Then one cultivates metta for one's parents, family, friends, and benefactors, including teachers, to neutral ones, or those we don't know, seen and unseen by us, to those we've had some difficulty with, and then to all beings. The general principle is that we start with what is easy and that we go patiently and gradually. We can start from wherever we are and continue from there. In general, fewer words are better, but we should have a clear idea of what the words we use mean to us. For different people or groups, different lines may seem more appropriate to reflect on. You're welcome to select from these, to use lines from other sources, or to write your own metta phrases. Sometimes one or two lines are enough. Here is a model. Use your intelligence and skill to adapt this meditation as you see fit. The feeling is the important thing, and the clear intention. Phrases for metta loving-kindness practice. Here are two versions of the traditional phrases that are used. May they be happy. May they be healthy. May they be peaceful. May they live with ease. May they be safe. May they be healthy. May they be happy. May they know they are loved. Jetsunma Tenzin Palmo offers this way of expressing metta that has a very nice rhythm to it. May they be well and happy, peaceful and at their ease. The following was offered by Ajahn Pasanno. Beginning with oneself, it can then be adapted to the different categories of people. May I be well, happy, peaceful, and prosperous. May no harm come to me. May no difficulties come to me. May no problems come to me. May I always meet with spiritual success. May I also have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. May I have the qualities that will allow me to see those through. And then for others, may they be well, happy, peaceful, and prosperous. May no harm come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May no problems come to them. May they always meet with spiritual success. May they also have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. May they have the qualities that will allow them to see those through. And here are my own phrases. May they be entirely well and at their ease. May they have every happiness. May they always be safe and protected. May they always know themselves to be greatly loved and cared for. May their heart be open to all the beauty and wonder of life. May they have all they need and wish for. May they have every blessing. May they have all of the good things that this life has to offer, every success and all joys. May they have happiness. May they be healthy. May they have peace, happiness, and harmony in all their relationships. May they know freedom, the highest happiness, peace, and fulfillment. As I mentioned earlier, you can also write your own metta phrases, and I encourage you to do so. Make the practice your own. These are just offered as an example. You are welcome to use whatever works best for you. 2 more traditional methods. There are many ways to develop loving kindness. 2 more ways that have come down to us are the spatial extension of metta and developing metta for different categories of people. In each case, we are aiming to gradually become more inclusive in our love. In the spatial extension of metta, we begin with where we are physically and extend goodwill in front of us, to the left and right, in all directions, step by step, further and further, as much as we like and feel comfortable doing. We can begin where we are sitting and extend the light of metta to those in our own room, household, building, block, neighborhood, city, state, country, continent, hemisphere, world, universe, and beyond. Another simple application of the spatial extension of metta can be when we look from our window, we can extend well-wishing to the people we see pass by in the street. When we go out, we can offer metta to those on public transportation, or in line at the grocery store, or to a room of people such as at work, at the bank, at the doctor's, or at a bar, genuinely wishing them all well. In developing metta for different categories of people, we have a model in the suttas, and we are encouraged to be creative with it as well. We can develop kindness and well-wishing for the young and old, for the rich and the poor, for those living near and those far away, for the happy and those troubled in spirit, for those living in ease, comfort, and safety, and those in difficult circumstances, and so on. We can develop this quality of care and support for people of different political views, and for those of different races, for different species and stages of development, and for those who live in other worlds. Truly there is no limit to its application. The Four Brahma Viharas. Metta practice is done step by step through the different categories, understanding their purpose, and then all together as taught, until one reaches the Four Brahma Viharas, or divine abodes, also called the Four Limitless States. These are universal love, compassion, joy, and equanimity, which, in this context, is the strength and balance of mind that comes from love. The Four Brahma Viharas can be expressed and reflected on in a number of ways, including this four-line prayer, adapted from the Tibetan tradition. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. I rejoice in all that is beautiful and right in the world, in all virtue and positive action, and in all happiness and good fortune, and abide in impartial love. You may like to pause for a while between practices to allow metta the time and space to unfold. Three Metta Meditations. The Discourse on Love. He or she who wants to attain peace should practice being upright, humble, and capable of using loving speech. He or she will know how to live simply and happily, with senses calmed, and without being covetous and carried away by the emotions of the majority. Let him or her not do anything that would be disapproved of by the wise ones, and this is what he or she contemplates. May all beings be happy and safe, and may their hearts be filled with joy. May all living beings live in security and in peace, beings who are frail or strong, tall or short, big or small, visible or not visible, near or far away, already born or yet to be born. May all of them dwell in perfect tranquility. Let no one do harm to anyone. Let no one put the life of anyone in danger. Let no one, out of anger or ill will, wish anyone any harm. Just as a mother loves and protects her only child at the risk of her own life, we should cultivate boundless love to offer to all living beings in the entire cosmos. We should let our boundless love pervade the whole universe, above, below, and across. Our love will know no obstacles. Our heart will be absolutely free from hatred and enmity. Whether standing or walking, sitting or lying down, as long as we are awake, we should maintain this mindfulness of love in our own heart. This is the noblest way of living. Free from wrong views, greed, and sensual desires, living in beauty and realizing perfect understanding, those who practice boundless love will certainly transcend birth and death. All the fish in the sea, and all the birds in the trees and in the air, and all the insects living on the earth and under the earth, and all those who fly, and all the mammals, cats, dogs, horses, cows, deer, squirrels, and all the peoples of this earth, young and old, rich and poor, male and female, near and far away, those to be born and those newly born, oh, so precious, so infinitely precious, toddlers and grade school children, teens, young adults, the middle-aged and elders, the newly arrived and those who are leaving this world, mothers and fathers, aunts and uncles, grandparents, parents and their children, brothers and sisters, friends, and relations. Those known to me briefly or seen just once and that's all, and those not known to me in this world. Those who are single, married people, and those who are divorced or widowed. Couples, students, workers, and the retired. Teachers, elders, and ancestors, past, present, and future. The sun, the moon, and the stars, the light of day and the night, and all the waters, and all the earth by which we live. May all beings everywhere be completely safe. May all beings everywhere be healthy, happy, and at peace. May they all have everything they need in their lives, now and always, and may they all realize the highest happiness, peace, and fulfillment. The cultivation of loving kindness. Having seen that, like oneself, all beings seek for happiness, one patiently then cultivates love for all beings. May all the precious children of this world be entirely well and at their ease. May they all be safe, healthy, happy, and at peace. May I be happy, healthy, and peaceful. May I be free from all suffering. May my loved ones, my family, friends, neutral ones, and all honored guests have every happiness. May they all be free from all suffering. May they all be completely free from all danger and all difficulty. Within the boundaries of this town, may all beings have happiness. Likewise those in other places, in other cities and countries, in all places. May they all have happiness, health, and peace. All creatures and all breathing things, all persons and all entities, men, women, and children, the noble ones, the unawake, devas, and unhappy ones, who in the 10 directions dwell. May all beings be happy and at peace, and may their hearts be filled with joy. Those we have never seen before. Look carefully. If we live in the city, most of the people we see every day we have never seen before and will almost certainly never see again. How amazing is that? In Buddhist loving-kindness practice, these are in the general category called neutral people, since most of them are neither favored by us nor reacted to negatively. We don't know them, and so they are just there in our field of vision for a brief time, and then, just like that, in a few moments they are gone, likely forever. How about that? I have one writing on this category of neutral people from a few years ago that emphasizes its importance in making our way to all-embracing love. It's called The Great Bridge to Universal Love. It says, essentially, that most of those in our world are people we don't know at all personally, and that if we can somehow include them in our well-wishing, care, and concern, it increases the range of our love and compassion immeasurably. Then this morning, as I was out on my walk, I thought of how it is that all the people passing by I had never seen before in my life, and how I will almost certainly never see any of them again. I may have known this before, vaguely or just intellectually, but I didn't really pay much attention to this truth. Having done a little loving-kindness meditation earlier this morning, I then thought to myself, if this is so, can I wish these people well, genuinely? And what would I want for them, especially if I'm seeing them just this one time? Of course, I would want the same things for them as for myself. May they be well. May they be safe, healthy, happy, and at peace. May they realize the highest happiness, peace, and fulfillment. I would wish that they have everything they need in their lives, enough resources, good travels, music, the arts, and education, friendships, and harmony in their family. I saw this morning that this can be my field of practice. Astounding. The neutral category is only tricky because these are people and other living beings too, for that matter, that we usually don't notice. Because they are neither helpful nor harmful to us and those we care for, we give them very little attention. If they are noticed at all, they are on the periphery, without much feeling or emotion. This can change, though, if we choose to give them our kind attention and include them in our metta, loving kindness. I mentioned to a friend recently how everyone is a world, really, and looking more carefully at the faces of people this morning, I was amazed to see their unique beauty. It seemed to me that each person was a one-of-a-kind jewel with a history, ancestry, family connections, and of course, just like me, with challenges and difficulties. I asked myself if I could possibly have compassion for them too, even though I did not know them, had never seen them, and would almost certainly never see them again. And I could sense that my answer is yes. I can see them and really wish them well. For however long we share this day, even if it's just for these few brief moments, I can do this. Whatever they are going through, whatever is known or not known about them, I can wish for them to have peace, a long life with good health, joy and fulfillment. I know we need each other as human beings, and actually as living beings here sharing this beautiful earth, and I can offer a prayer that we all care for each other well, and that we each have all we need in our lives to reach fulfillment. You know when you happen on something you've never seen before, but now you know where to find it? It's like this when we see that we can wish complete strangers well, the highest good. We may have never met before, and we may never meet again like we do today, and I can have this kindness in mind and offer it. Having a method like this of extending warmth and kindness to those we have never met before, of course, can become easier the more we do it. Then our familiarity with the practice can be there when we go out once more. And if by some chance we do see these same people again, we can meet them with a sense of joyful familiarity and continue wishing them well in every way. How wonderful! Smiling with your whole body. Reading about and practicing smiling can be so blissful, so enjoyable that it's easy to greet your family, friends, and even strangers with a broad smile, saying, "Hey, how are you doing?" and "It's good to see you," and meaning it. It's easy to want to share our joy. The problem, of course, is that not everyone knows us or trusts a stranger with a smile. They can be suspicious of our motives, and I don't blame them. There are those with insincere smiles looking to fleece people in some way. I get that. So what to do? We still have this joy in us and the wish to share it, but we don't want to raise suspicions or scare people off. I remember I had the thought a while back that I could take this delicious feeling beaming from my eyes and my smile and spirit and spread it over my whole body, kind of like we would spread butter or jelly or honey with a butter knife on a piece of bread. The first time I tried this, I remember I was surprised by the effect it had. I went from feeling this happiness mostly in my heart and on my face to feeling like my entire body was smiling. Vibrant, joyful, and full of peaceful, loving energy. The smile on my face softened, such that it wouldn't startle strangers, but the feeling was still there, and this heart wish to share joy is what life is about, after all. Here is a passage I made note of from a teacher named Dennis Lewis on what he called the smiling breath. When the inner smile is combined with deep, spacious breathing to create what I call the smiling breath, the effect can be something wonderful. The breath transports the energy of the smile throughout the body. This is something that is very healthy and healing to do as well. The breath is life, and it brings healing energy, as does the love that is in the warmth of a smile. I meditate like this, smiling with my whole body. Then, when I go out, I'm on the lookout and sensitive, watching how a smile would be received. I can see whether it is welcomed. In any case, this feeling is communicated through the body, and our goodwill and kindness can be picked up on. I can only suggest we try this out and see for ourselves. If an outward smile is not something usual or even felt to be appropriate, and then, oh, what a world we live in, but there it is, it's like this sometimes. Still, we can have this love and joy in our heart and quietly embody this. This is surely a gift to both ourselves and to all those we meet. I usually do a little walking meditation after reading this, so I'll be back in a little while. Okay, I'm back. A Metta Meditation. May my loved ones be safe. May they be healthy. May they live long. And may they be happy and at peace. May they always feel very well loved and cared for, truly appreciated, valued, and respected. May they have everything they need and wish for, both materially and spiritually. And may they realize perfect freedom, the highest happiness, peace, and fulfillment. May all the precious children of this world always be safe. May they all be healthy. May they all be happy and at peace. May all the children of this world always be very well loved and cared for, each and every one of them without exception. May they all have everything they need and wish for, both materially and spiritually. May they all enjoy an abundance of good things in this life, and may they all realize perfect freedom, the highest happiness, peace, and fulfillment. May all our revered venerable elders be safe. May they be healthy, may they live long, and may they be happy and at peace. May each one of them feel loved and deeply cherished every day. May they each have everything they need and wish for, and may each one of them realize perfect freedom, the highest happiness, peace, and fulfillment. May all my supremely kind teachers enjoy the best of health. May they live long. May they have an abundance of resources, and may all their noble wishes be fulfilled. May I be safe. May I be healthy. May I live long. May I be happy and at peace, and accomplish a good purpose here. May I always feel that I am appreciated and very well loved and cared for. May I have everything I need and wish for to accomplish my aims, and may I realize perfect freedom, the highest happiness, peace, and fulfillment. May my life be most fruitful for living beings, and as I wish this for myself, may it be so for all beings everywhere. May we all realize a good purpose in this life. May all my dear friends always be safe. May they be healthy. May they live long, and may they be happy and at peace. May they all feel very well loved and cared for each and every day. May they each have everything they need and wish for, and may each one of them realize perfect freedom, the highest happiness, peace, and fulfillment. May all the precious animals in this world be very well cared for. May every one of them be safe from all harm. May all their living environments be protected, and may they all know they are greatly loved. May all neutral ones, those who are known, however briefly, and those who are unknown by me, always be completely safe. May they be healthy, may they live long, and may they be happy and at peace. Workers in factories, in stores, and in the fields, those at home and those in school, those with friends and family, and those who are alone, may each of them always feel very well loved and cared for, truly appreciated, valued, and respected. May they all have everything they need and wish for, and may they all realize perfect freedom, the highest happiness, peace, and fulfillment. May all honored guests, politicians, the oppressed and the oppressors, those who suffer and those who cause suffering, those who are doing well, those I have had difficulty with, those I have harmed and those who have harmed me or those close to me, those I have disrespected, rejected, or neglected, and those I have felt disrespected, rejected, or neglected me, those I have disappointed, and those who have disappointed me, those towards whom I feel attachment, aversion, indifference, or resentment, strangers, my relatives and friends, friends in the past, employers and co-workers, past and present, my neighbors, my teachers, my mother and sister, and myself, the one who is before me now, and the one I will meet tomorrow, and especially those I am connected to by good or bad karma. May all my honored guests be completely safe. May they be healthy. May they live long. And may they all be happy and at peace. May they all always know they are deeply loved and cared for, truly appreciated, valued, and respected. May they all have everything they need and wish for in this life and in all their lifetimes. May they enjoy an abundance of good things, and may each and every one of them realize perfect freedom, the highest happiness, peace, and fulfillment. And all beings, young and old, rich and poor, male and female, realized and ordinary people, near and far away, already born and yet to be born, animals, humans, spirits, ordained and lay people, family and friends, myself, my teachers, neutral ones, known and unknown by me, and all honored guests. May all beings always be completely safe. May all beings be healthy. May all beings live long, and may all beings be happy and at peace. May they all feel very well loved and cared for. May they all have everything they need and wish for. And may all beings realize perfect freedom, the highest happiness, peace, and fulfillment. Suffusion with the Four Divine Abidings. A modern version. 1. Loving kindness. I will abide pervading the world with loving kindness, all around and everywhere, and as to all as to myself. I will abide pervading this all-encompassing world with loving kindness that is abundant, exalted, immeasurable, with unconditional love, warmth and gentleness, gratitude, appreciation and respect, supreme well-wishing and encouragement for all. May all beings be happy. May they all be healthy. May they all dwell in safety, comfort, and peace. May they all know that they are loved. I will abide pervading the world with loving kindness. May all beings be entirely well and at their ease, from the insects on the ground and under the ground, to the birds in the trees and in the sky, the fish in the waters, animals and people everywhere, young and old, rich and poor, male and female, realized and ordinary people, near and far away, already born and yet to be born. May they all be entirely well and at their ease. May they all be safe, healthy, happy, and fulfilled. May they all always know they are loved and cared for. May they all have everything they need and wish for in their lives. And may they all surely enjoy an abundance of good things. All around and everywhere, and to all as to myself, may all have supreme happiness, health, and peace. I will abide pervading this all-encompassing world with loving kindness that is abundant, exalted, immeasurable, with unconditional goodwill, warmth and gentleness, gratitude, appreciation and respect, supreme well-wishing and encouragement for all. 2. Compassion. I will abide pervading the world with compassion, all around and everywhere, and to all as to myself. I will abide pervading this all-encompassing world with compassion that is abundant, exalted, immeasurable, with a heart of complete solidarity with all those who suffer in any way, with engagement with them, and with support and tender care. May I always be there for them. This is my prayer. Young and old, rich and poor, male and female, realized and ordinary people, near and far away, already born and yet to be born. May they all be free from all their suffering and the causes of suffering. May they all be healed. May they all be completely safe and protected. Thus I will abide with compassion, courage, joy, and real strength. 3. Joy. I will abide pervading the world with a heart that rejoices in the good everywhere it is found, in the arts, in children, in the natural world, in myself and in others, in teachers and in healers, in kind and caring people, in cherished elders, ancestors, family, and friends. I celebrate all that is beautiful and right in this world. I rejoice in all kindness, virtue, and positive action, and in all success, happiness, and good fortune. I will abide pervading this all-encompassing world with joy and celebration that is abundant, exalted, immeasurable. And 4. The immutable strength of impartial love, also known as its equanimity. And I will abide pervading the world with the immutable strength of impartial love, stable and dedicated, all around and everywhere, and to all as to myself, with all people and with all living beings, in every circumstance, steadfast, loyal, courageous, and reliable, with the power of love's own committed equanimity, its unchanging nature, patience, peace, and strength. I will abide pervading the all-encompassing world with this stable, impartial love that is abundant, exalted, immeasurable, at all times with a heart that is awake, steady, joyful, even and serene. Suffusion with the Divine Abidings. Traditional. I will abide pervading one quarter with a mind imbued with loving kindness. Likewise the second, likewise the third, likewise the fourth, so above and below, around and everywhere, and to all as to myself. I will abide pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with loving kindness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable. I will abide pervading one quarter with a mind imbued with compassion. Likewise the second, likewise the third, likewise the fourth, so above and below, around and everywhere, and to all as to myself. I will abide pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with compassion, abundant, exalted, immeasurable. I will abide pervading one quarter with a mind imbued with gladness, likewise the second, likewise the third, likewise the fourth, so above and below, around and everywhere, and to all as to myself. I will abide pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with gladness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable. I will abide pervading one quarter with a mind imbued with equanimity, likewise the second, likewise the third, likewise the fourth, so above and below, around and everywhere, and to all as to myself. I will abide pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with equanimity, abundant, exalted, immeasurable. Sublime abiding places for the heart. The following is adapted from a workshop given by Ajahn Pasanno at the Bayagiri Buddhist Monastery in May 1999. The Brahma-viharas are the qualities of loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. What is often not sufficiently emphasized is that the Brahma-viharas are fundamental to the Buddha's teaching and practice. The suffusion of the divine abidings is the most frequent form in which the Brahma-viharas are mentioned in the discourses of the Buddha. I find this chant very beautiful. It begins, I will abide pervading one quarter with a mind imbued with loving kindness, likewise the second, likewise the third, likewise the fourth, so above and below, around and everywhere, and to all as to myself. I will abide pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with loving kindness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable. The chant continues similarly with the other three qualities. It is very empowering to be able to bring forth these qualities of the heart, to turn the mind away from negativity towards that which is wholesome and positive. The Buddha's discourses on the Brahma-viharas. The word Brahma-vihara is translated in many different ways: divine abiding, divine abode, sublime abode. Brahma means great, holy, supreme, sublime, exalted, and divine. Vihara is a place, an abode, and also an attitude of mind. When put together, Brahma-vihara means the psychological abiding place of the spiritually developed, of those who are exemplary. In the Commentaries, the religious life, the holy life, is called brahmacharya. One of the explanations for this term is that the holy life is a life dedicated to developing the Brahma-viharas. These qualities of the mind and heart are qualities that the Buddha himself cultivated and abided in. In a discourse, the Buddha addresses a Brahmin thus, "Here, Brahmin, I am dependent on a certain village. Setting mindfulness in front of me, I abide suffusing 1/4 of the world with a heart possessed of loving kindness, likewise the second, likewise the third, likewise the fourth. He goes through the phrases we just chanted. The whole world I suffused with a heart grown great with loving kindness, free of enmity and untroubled. Likewise with a heart possessed with compassion, possessed with sympathy and gladness, possessed with equanimity. If I walk up and down, my walking is sublime, my standing, my sitting is sublime. This is what I mean when I say it is a sublime abiding place. So even the Buddha, a completely enlightened being, still directed his attention to these 4 Brahmaviharas. There is a discourse given to Jivaka, the Buddha's physician, where the Buddha addresses the duty of a monk living in dependence on a lay community. Herein, Jivaka, a religious seeker depending on alms lives in a certain village or town. He abides pervading 1/4 with a mind imbued with loving kindness, likewise the second, and so forth. It is a duty of such a bhikkhu to live cultivating the Brahmaviharas toward the lay community. He continues, that bhikkhu goes into that village for alms, and what do you think? Would such a monk cultivate these for the sake of his own affliction, for the sake of another's affliction, or for both? Jivaka answers, no, Venerable Sir. Someone cultivating these qualities of the Brahmaviharas becomes sensitive to the suffering they create for themselves and for others. They are qualities that develop the heart. By cultivating and abiding in them, one leans toward that which would bring happiness to others and to oneself. This is a fundamental truth. As your heart becomes sensitive and open, you realize that suffering is painful and do not want to abide in it. In another discourse, the Buddha again points to the development of the heart and to the fact that these wholesome qualities create a fullness of the heart. He says, monks, those noble disciples, thus freed from covetousness, freed from malevolence, not bewildered, but self-possessed and concentrated, with hearts possessed of amity, also translated as loving kindness, friendliness, and so on, abide radiating 1/4 and then the second, the third, and the fourth with loving kindness, pervading the whole world with a heart immeasurable, grown great and boundless, free from enmity and untroubled. After going through the rest of the Brahmaviharas, the Buddha says that they come to know that formerly this heart of mine was confined. It was not made to grow, but now my heart is boundless, well made to grow. Moreover, my heart was limited to a certain range, but now it is not confined. It stays not in that range. Well made to grow is translated from the Pali word with the same root as Bhavana, meaning meditation or mental development. It means, therefore, that these qualities enable the development of the mind. Also, as a result of this practice, feelings and thoughts that formerly were limited and constricted become boundless. The results permeate all aspects of one's life. Similarly, when one does something in a small-minded way, the results are limited. That's the way it works. The Buddha ends the discourse thus. The heart's release by loving kindness is conducive to non-returning for the monk with insight, but who has not yet penetrated to the truth. The stages of enlightenment are stream entry, once-returner, non-returner, and arahant. Here the Buddha says that even for those who are still practicing and training, the cultivation of the Brahmaviharas is conducive to attaining higher levels of the path. The Brahmaviharas, their nature and characteristics. As one continues to practice and study Buddhism, It is very useful to familiarize oneself with some of the Pali terms. For example, when working with computers, you have to learn some technical terms to deal with certain concepts or operations. Or when studying music, you learn the related technical terms. With Buddhism, there is a range of technical terms in Pali for the qualities of the heart that are helpful to know. Metta, for instance, is often translated in English as loving kindness. Although two words are used, they still don't quite get it right, so other words are used such as amity or friendliness in an effort to convey its meaning. Metta is characterized as being connected to happiness or welfare. Its function is to generate welfare or well-being. It is manifested as the removal of annoyance. Its proximate cause is seeing the lovableness of beings or the good qualities and that which is pleasing in others. Metta succeeds when it causes ill will to subside and fails when it brings about affection or attachment. Using the word metta is more useful as it does not have the connotations of affection or attachment that the word loving kindness has. Metta is a selfless wishing of happiness and well-being for others. The Brahma Viharas have so-called far and near enemies, obstructions to their correct development. The far enemy of metta is anger. Bearing anger, ill will, or aversion is, of course, inimical to loving kindness, but it is far enough away to recognize such feelings. Being more insidious, the near enemies are more dangerous. When you are angry, you try to deal with it or try to remove it, but when you are delighting in something, your mind tends not to be clear enough to see that you have come too close to the object. In terms of cultivating loving kindness, you have to know and be aware of these aspects that are related to and define the quality of metta, and use them as boundaries to work within. The near enemy of metta, as mentioned, is greed or attachment, since happiness and well-being could become coveted. That leads to pain and sorrow, and could even turn into a defilement if not correctly understood. When we experience something pleasing, we tend to want it, but to really practice metta is to wish for the well-being of others and not try to possess them. The same goes for cultivating metta towards oneself, to try not to cling to feelings of joy and well-being generated by the practice of meditation. So the near enemy of metta is when the heart moves too close to something and then it shifts from being loving kindness to greed and grasping. Karuna is the quality of compassion. It is characterized by the wish to help alleviate suffering in others. Its function resides in the inability to tolerate suffering, so it motivates the desire to help when others suffer. Compassion does not allow complacency in the face of suffering. One is moved into action. Compassion manifests as non-cruelty or helpfulness, and its proximate cause is seeing the pain and helplessness in those disadvantaged or overtaken by some misfortune. Then the heart responds with the wish to help. The far enemy is cruelty, and compassion succeeds when it makes such feelings subside. The word cruelty sounds very strong, but the wish to harm, to hurt, to be cruel can come out in many ways. One could be quite cruel in one's speech without in fact beating up someone. Making a cutting comment or put down as being cruel. When there is compassion, the tendency to lash out subsides. Compassion fails when it causes sorrow. When faced with suffering, if one is overwhelmed by grief or heaviness of heart, then that is not being compassionate. The quality of compassion is then tainted and not functioning properly. When the heart is drawn towards boundlessness, it is not dragged down by suffering. Instead, it is uplifted. It is important to recognize that. the heart could be weighed down by sorrow and grief in response to a tragic event or situation, and one could think that that is being compassionate, but that is not compassion, even though the etymology of the word in English is to suffer with. That's not the way the Buddha defined compassion. If one's mind is affected by grief, then one is not able to respond in a clear and open-hearted manner. It is important to recognize that. This is why sorrow and grief are characterized as the near enemy of compassion. Both responses can spring from seeing suffering in others, but grief has a depressive effect, while compassion has a positive and uplifting quality. Mudita is translated as gladness in the Divine Abidings chant, but the term commonly used is sympathetic joy. Mudita is characterized as a gladdening at others' success, a delighting in the success, the goodness, and the well-being of others. Its function is being without envy, not being jealous of the good fortune of others. Most of us, I think, find loving-kindness and compassion beneficial and good to practice. When it comes to sympathetic joy, we do not think too much about it and tend to dismiss it as either abstruse or unreal. When you start watching your mind, however, you see the pettiness over and over again. The unwillingness to rejoice when someone does something good is seen in the snappy remark or the clever little synopsis of a person or situation, which are part of daily life in our interrelations with people, but which tend to be based in negativity or cynicism. Such responses do not come from a place of gladness, but very much from a sense of self. One attempts to lift oneself up by putting down someone else. By cultivating mudita, the sense of self is undermined. There is a letting go of the attachment or fixation to self. This enables us to delight in the well-being and good fortune of those around us. A great deal of joy is generated when one is able to tap into this quality. Mudita is manifested as non-aversion, and its proximate cause is seeing the success of others. It succeeds when it causes a sense of coolness of the heart, an acceptance. It fails when it causes merriment, a frivolous delighting in things that agitate the mind, which is not a pure-hearted delight. Equanimity in Pali is called upekkha. It is characterized as that quality which brings about a sense of neutrality or an evenness of heart towards all beings. Its function is in maintaining a steadiness of mind and not allowing differences, whether physical, intellectual, spiritual, or whatever, to detract or influence our perception of those with whom we come in contact. Its proximate cause is understanding the nature of karma, recognition that our actions bear results which affect us, and, in effect, that we create our own future world or experiences. Another factor to recognize regarding karma is that we are not able to take on the results of others' actions and deeds. Equanimity is therefore understanding how the basic laws of nature work, the recognition that our lives are governed by the way we conduct our lives. Where the suffering of others is concerned, we recognize that by making ourselves suffer, we do not decrease or take away the suffering of others. We can work to alleviate another's suffering or delight in another's good fortune, but there is a point where one has to exercise equanimity, being aware of one's own well-being. To try to take on someone else's life and carry it around is not equanimity. Equanimity is not taking on more than what is actually necessary or beneficial. Equanimity succeeds when it is aware of the movement of the mind, the wanting and not wanting, approval and disapproval, and one is able to establish an evenness of mind, a clarity that sees things for what they are. True equanimity does not hinder compassion or action, but rather enhances it by developing the discernment that knows how and when to engage. The far enemy is aversion and greed, the liking and disliking, approving and disapproving that occurs within our minds. Equanimity is the quality not shaken by the movement of the worldly dhammas or ways of the world. Equanimity fails when it causes indifference, not caring. Indifference could arise due to a lack of attention or clarity, or to being unwilling to deal with the situation because too much effort is required. Indifference is the near enemy of equanimity. A foundation for one's practice. Cultivating the Brahma-viharas means bringing these qualities of metta, karuna, mudita, and upekkha into consciousness. It is like exercising muscles that have not been used. As you develop these qualities, you have to consider whether your mind is getting clearer or more confused. The correct practice of the Brahma-viharas always leads to increased clarity and joy. That is the nature of these qualities of mind. The whole point of the Buddha's teaching is to cultivate mental qualities in order to gain happiness of mind, and the Brahma-viharas, a prime source for creating happiness, can thus lay the foundation for the entire practice. Most of the terms the Buddha uses regarding the developing of practice are those that describe states of well-being. We see this in a sequence he sets out to illustrate the development of the mind. Anavajja sukha is the state of mind resulting from abiding by the moral precepts, the happiness of blamelessness or harmlessness, the happiness of non-remorse. Abhayaseka sutta is the happiness that ensues from training in sense restraint, the composure one finds when one is not bent on gratification or excitement of the senses. Pamoja means the delight that results from being free of the 5 hindrances that hinder meditation: sense desire, ill will, sleepiness or drowsiness, restlessness, and skeptical doubt. Pamoja also refers to the happiness that meditative states of tranquility can bring, an unalloyed kind of happiness. It also includes the delight that arises from skillful reflection on the true nature of things. Pamoja leads to piti, joy. Piti leads to passaddhi, the state of tranquility. When there is tranquility, sukha, happiness arises, and because of sukha, samadhi arises. Samadhi is the firm meditative state of mind. The Buddha says in many discourses that the happy mind is easily concentrated. We see that happiness brings about samadhi, whereas usually we approach it the other way around. We often think, if only I could get my meditation together, then I would be happy. Whereas it should be, how do I gain true happiness so that my heart could be at ease? It is a very important truth that the Buddha points to in this sequence of shades of happiness culminating in samadhi. The result of samadhi is summed up in the recurring phrase, seeing things as they truly are. This is a description of a mental state where the mind steps back from the sense of self. This state prepares the mind to be truly still and unshakable. When that happens, the mind moves into nibbida. Sometimes this word is translated as boredom or disgust or revulsion, but that does not really get it. It means a cooling of the heart and a turning away from things, leading to vimutti, freedom. Happiness plays a great role in the development of the whole sequence, and the Brahma-viharas which generate happiness can serve as a powerful foundation for one's practice. Similarly, the Four Noble Truths, while often characterized as a means to investigate suffering, also result in the cultivation of happiness. The qualities of happiness and joy are necessary for mental development. This is seen in many aspects of the Buddha's teaching. The Buddha very explicitly uses the Four Noble Truths as a tool. Over and over again he says, "I teach only two things, suffering and the cessation of suffering." Some could say this is a miserable teaching, dwelling on suffering, but when you investigate the teaching, you see why the Buddha sets it out like that. Suffering is a very tangible quality. We can investigate it. It is something that we know and do not want. The whole range of sentient existence is subject to suffering, and the wish to escape from it is universal. Many positive qualities are brought into being and are involved when one is engaged in cultivating the boundless qualities of the Brahma-viharas. They lead to a sense of ease, security, and fearlessness. The Pali word for fearlessness is abhaya. In Thai, it also has the connotation of forgiveness. Developing the Brahma-viharas engenders forgiveness, particularly in the practice of loving-kindness and compassion. To open one's heart to these qualities, one needs to be forgiving. The holding of past grievances, the constant refrain of, "he did this, she did that, I did this, I can't forgive myself," is swept away. There is no room in the divine abodes for holding grudges and enmity towards oneself or others. Generosity, or dana, is another natural result of the desire to promote happiness and alleviate suffering. 3 kinds of dana are mentioned: the giving of material things such as food or money, the giving of dhamma, and the giving of forgiveness or fearlessness. Often we do not pay much attention to the little things, such as our perceptions of ourselves and others. We have to learn to really forgive so as to open our hearts to these boundless qualities. So it is very important to bring up into consciousness areas where we have not forgiven ourselves and where we have thus created limitations and constraints for ourselves. Practicing the Brahma-viharas. As we have seen, the Brahma-viharas are a means of uplifting the mind, for brightening and bringing it joy. However, if the practice causes confusion, then something is wrong in the practice. You have to review it and look for the reason. This is where investigation comes in. The near enemies and far enemies are terms to aid you when reviewing your practice. They are guidelines to reflect back on the mind. The Buddha instructs us to examine our minds to see the real nature of the qualities and feelings. For instance, is it loving-kindness or attachment? This questioning is fundamental in the Buddha's teaching. It can be so skillful and useful to keep using the reflective capacity of the mind to penetrate and understand how the mind works. He gives us the basis for investigation. The Four Noble Truths are one skillful investigative tool. Whichever practice one is cultivating, developing mindfulness, the Brahma-viharas, or any other meditation, ask, is there suffering or freedom from suffering that results from my practice? How does it work for me? That is always the bottom line in the Buddha's teaching. Am I happier or am I experiencing suffering? Is my mind clearer or more confused? Is it peaceful or agitated? These are the guidelines. All of these qualities, the Brahma-viharas, dana, and so forth, are thus important tools of investigation in reflecting and understanding what remains to be done in the task of purifying the mind. This teaching of the Brahma-viharas was something the Buddha taught everyone, regardless of societal divisions. In the Buddha's time, caste was an important factor in Indian society. Pointing out the universality of these qualities to a Brahmin who had come to argue with him, the Buddha asks, "What do you think, Brahmin? Is only a Brahmin capable of developing loving-kindness without hostility and ill will? Can a merchant or worker not be able to do so, No, Master Gautama. A merchant, nobleman, Brahmin, or worker is capable of developing loving kindness without hostility and without ill will. This practice is accessible to anyone, regardless of gender, age, position in society, or status as ordained or not. The success of this practice depends on how you direct your mind, how you experience and engage with the world, and your ability to assess the benefit or the lack of benefit of this practice, and then make use of it for yourself. Don't wait for these qualities to develop on their own. You have to investigate your practice, recognize the results that you experience, and then take whatever remedial measures are necessary. This practice empowers us to change and to develop ourselves. I would encourage you all to take these Brahma Viharas and experiment with, learn from, and delight in them. The loving heart seeks to sustain all. A message from Buddhist Global Relief. In its most universal dimension, love entails that we cherish others for their own sakes, without qualifications or preconditions. This kind of love involves an unwavering commitment to protect others from everything that endangers their well-being. It wants all people everywhere, regardless of race, ethnicity, or religion, to live lives that are safe, fulfilling, and profoundly meaningful. The heart filled with love seeks to uplift all, to sustain all, and to free every person from suffering. The Precepts of Love. There is so much contained in love at its best that I thought it would be worthwhile to write a few words about it this morning. I highlight love at its best to distinguish it from the fleeting, partial, or limited kinds of affection or attachment we all know so well. The love I would like to talk about is the kind we look to when we want to remember who we truly are and who we can become. We're living in a time when there is so much disconnect, hostility, fear, and aggression. With our defenses raised, we're often but one step removed from striking out in word or action. I was talking with a friend and co-worker the other day about how far this is from our natural state. We don't talk about love often enough, and so I told him what I feel needs to be said, that rather than training in and fostering anger, we should have zero aggression in us, zero and less than zero. I told him this is more in line with our true nature, which is naturally gentle. Our real nature is love, but how could we ever know this if we are just endlessly reactive, hitting back or preparing to do so? We have to start somewhere, and I suggested to him that it is right here, simply, that love begins with non-harming. This is how we can start to know our real selves. We have it in us also to create peace through our bodily actions, words, and thoughts, and the root of these is love. If we begin with non-harming, which is essentially knowing how we would want to be treated, and then acting with even a modicum of wisdom, we naturally become gentle, respectful, and conscientious. Once we face in that direction, then no matter how wrong or careless or hurtful we might have once been, right away we experience a change of heart and mind. From our heart, our love goes out, and it extends peace everywhere. To adopt an attitude of non-harming naturally creates the feeling of safety and comfort. It removes fear, and it is soothing. Love begins there, and yet it goes beyond such mere restraint. In the very character of love we all carry with us at all times, there is the willingness to remove suffering, now and in the future. My friend asked me, "Oh, can we really do that?" And I immediately said, yes, we do it all the time. Like when someone puts their hand on a friend's shoulder when they need it, or when someone just shows up or says a kind word just at the right time. It's easier to see how we remove one another's suffering if we think of it happening by degrees instead of all at once. We do quite often care for and comfort each other, and this is one of the beautiful, precious qualities found in our inherent capacity for love. If we go further with this, we see there is the movement to relieve suffering in the moment, and there is also what we do for one another to help prevent future suffering. In Buddhism, we have this prayer, may all beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. And in this, we see the wish to remove the hurt and needs of the moment, and then also to prevent future discomfort or unhappiness. Love contains all of this motivation and the spontaneous movement to see its aims fulfilled. Starting with non-harming and going on to removing suffering, we can tell that there is even more to love than this. Love naturally brings joy to others, now and in the future. The prayer of loving kindness says, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. The first part of this expresses the natural quality inherent in love of bringing light, joy, inspiration, freshness, and peace everywhere it goes. And the second line refers to looking ahead with the union of love and far-seeing wisdom. We plant trees that will flower and bear fruit in future times, long after we are gone, and we do this out of love and wisdom, looking ahead. We seek a remedy and give food today, and we also build a home for our family, for their future safety, comfort, and happiness. We need to look into causes both of misery and health and happiness. Then we can sow the causes for the life we most naturally want for ourselves and our loved ones. We can see far into the future and then act out of love. Love naturally expands. It wakes us up, and it reaches out in this way more and more. Such is its nature. This one quality we call love at its best has such richness in it, don't you agree? We can certainly speak of it as inherently not wishing ourselves or others any harm at all, and we can then mention its function of removing suffering and bringing happiness to ourselves and others more and more, now and with wisdom into the future. But there is one more facet that deserves to be mentioned when speaking of the naturally occurring qualities of love. It should be said here that when someone is causing suffering, love would have us respond to them with even greater love and compassion and wisdom. This is the basis of the Lojong, or the thought training teachings in Tibetan Buddhism. Thich Nhat Hanh said, when someone is suffering enough, his or her suffering will spill over, and they will cause others also to suffer. Responding to them with even more kindness and compassion and skill is the only thing that will eventually remedy the situation. But how far that is from how most people, groups and governments respond to violence, aggression, and acts of provocation. The usual response is one of retaliation, but it's clear that this only furthers the cycle of violence. We lock people up, declare war, reject ourselves and others, and start battles that go on for generations without end. We use a cliché like, their act was a cry for help, to describe some errant, hurtful action, but it is more than this. More precisely, it is a call for deeper attention, for more energy, wisdom, and love. If we don't heed these messages, then we turn away from giving help where it is most needed. A doctor runs towards the sounds of suffering, not away. He or she does not neglect the least sign that something is wrong. If we are to heal ourselves, our relationships, our families and communities, and especially those who are lost and causing harm to themselves and others, We do so need this precept. It is the highest expression of love at its most caring and far-seeing. These are the precepts of love, ever available to those who would pick up on them and bring greater light, peace, health, harmony, and joy to our lives together and to this whole 10 Directions world.